While everyone was doing viral challenges, there was always one person who didn't. They watched. They judged silently. They scrolled past TikTok dances. Skipped Spotify Wrapped. Ignored the hype effortlessly. Psychologists actually have a name for people like this. And once you hear it, things get uncomfortable. Stay with me, because this gets weird. Here's the question. When everyone tells you to do something, what's your first instinct? If it's to do the exact opposite, congratulations. You're experiencing psychological reactance. And no, that's not just stubbornness. It's a defense system. When your brain senses pressure, even something harmless like, everyone's using this app, it interprets it as a threat to freedom. And when freedom feels threatened, the brain doesn't comply. It rebels. That's why forbidden cookies taste better. Why staying up late feels irresistible when someone tells you to sleep. Trends feel optional until they feel mandatory. And mandatory is where resistance is born. But here's the part most people miss. Trend resistance isn't about being edgy. It's about identity protection. Research shows people with a strong need for uniqueness feel genuine discomfort when they start to feel too similar to others. To them, trends aren't fun. They're invasive. Like an immune system responding to a virus. Now, pause. You might be thinking, isn't avoiding trends kind of a trend? Congratulations. You've discovered the hipster paradox. Yes, actual mathematicians modeled this. When too many people try to be different in the same way, they become identical. It's ironic. It's tragic. It's inevitable. But here's where we separate two very different people. Type 1, the contrarian. They resist trends because they're trends. Their identity depends on opposition. Show them something popular. They'll hate it on principle. They're still controlled by trends. Just backwards. Exhausting energy. Type 2, the authentic non-participant. These people aren't against trends. They just don't notice them. Their choices don't react. They originate. Different wavelength. Different operating system. Psychology backs this up. People who are low self-monitors, who don't constantly adjust behavior for social approval, are far less likely to join trends. Not because they're resisting. Because the social signal doesn't register. The viral song? To them, it's just a song. They either like it or they don't. That's it. Now here's the plot twist. People like this may have saved humanity. Throughout history, when everyone rushed one direction, someone had to pause and look elsewhere. If every ancient human chased the same food source, the same land, the same idea, disaster. But the ones who said, nah, I'll check over there, they found alternatives, backups, survival. There's even genetic evidence. The so-called wanderer gene, linked to novelty seeking and norm resistance. Sometimes those people found new lands. Sometimes they found bears. Progress isn't safe, but it's necessary. So are trend resistors happier? The answer is complicated. They report higher satisfaction with their choices. No FOMO. No performance. Life feels owned. But humans are social animals. Trends create shared moments. Inside jokes. Belonging. Opt out of everything. And you opt out of connection too. And that cost is real. Research suggests the healthiest place isn't total adoption or total rejection. It's selective participation. Join what genuinely resonates. Skip what doesn't. Ignore popularity entirely. Which brings us to the uncomfortable truth. Many people who think they're authentic are actually just contrarians in disguise. If your first thought when something goes viral is, "That's basic," you're not free. You're reactive. You're a shadow. And shadows need objects to exist. Real freedom isn't rejecting what's popular. And it isn't chasing it either. It's liking something without irony. Skipping something without superiority. Ask yourself this. If everyone stopped doing the thing you refuse to do, would you still refuse? If yes, you're authentic. If no, you've been performing. So are you a trend resistor? Or do you just think you are? Here's a more uncomfortable question. When you make a choice, do you feel peace afterward? Or do you feel validated? Because peace means the choice aligned with you. Validation means the choice needed an audience. Even if that audience was imaginary. And those two sensations are easy to confuse. A lot of people mistake resistance for freedom. They assume that because they didn't follow the crowd, they must have acted independently. But reacting is still a form of dependence. It just wears a different costume. If your sense of self sharpens only when others are nearby. If you need something popular to push against. Then your autonomy isn't internal. It's borrowed. True authenticity is quieter than people expect. It doesn't argue. It doesn't signal intelligence. It doesn't flinch when someone enjoys something mainstream. It chooses. And then it moves on. No announcement. No explanation. No need to be witnessed. Here's the strange part. The most independent people rarely think of themselves as independent at all. They don't build identities around difference. They don't curate opposition. They don't keep mental score of how unlike everyone else they are. They're too busy being interested. Too busy following curiosity instead of comparison. Too busy living inwardly rather than positioning outwardly. Freedom, it turns out, isn't dramatic. It's almost boring. And that boredom is actually the signal. When a decision feels boring, uncharged by rebellion or approval, that's usually when it's real. No spike of superiority. No spike of belonging. Just alignment. That's what internal motivation feels like. So maybe the real divide isn't between trend followers and trend resistors. Maybe it's between people who choose and people who react. Between those who ask, "What does this say about me?" and those who ask, "Do I actually want this?" One question builds a persona. The other builds a life. And here's the final irony. The moment you stop needing to prove you're different, you usually become different by default. The moment you stop managing how your choices look, your choices start to feel lighter. Less performative. Less defensive. More yours. So tell me, are you resisting trends? Or are you resisting the fear of disappearing into the crowd? Because those are not the same thing. You can answer in the comments. Or not. After all, not engaging is kind of on brand.